Hello and welcome back to the Pokemonathon, where we're going to be taking a look at all of the brand new Pokemon toys put out by Wicked Cool. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Battle feature figures. Now these feature figures are sort of the deluxe action figures of the line. They are $10 a pop and include either one large or one medium and one small Pokemon figures. Like I said, I like how they have sort of the flexible dimension there where they can combine either a larger figure or a couple of the smaller ones into the same price point. That, I think, is a genius design that will serve Wicked Cool well in the long run. Now, the thing about the Battle feature figures is all of them have some sort of gimmick to them, whether it be like the Decidueye over here who has a spring-loaded feather launcher, or with Lapras here that moves its fins as it rolls along the ground. All of them have some sort of action feature. The only one I wasn't sent, there's actually only 4 in the starting set, and the only one I did not get was Beware, who has the ability to stash a smaller figure under its arms. Makes me kind of hope that they put out some Team Rocket figures at some point so we can really get the most of that gimmick. So let's start with Ash and Pikachu. Ash and Pikachu is so far the only combination of a medium size and a small character in this price point. It's also, so far, the only human character that we have gotten in the lineup. And part of the gimmick here is that everything is supposed to be to scale. So Ash here is supposed to be our point of reference for all of the other sizes of Pokemon, which is a little weird. I honestly thought that Alolan Muck was bigger than this. Oh well, moving on. The action feature that they have here for Ash is that he's supposed to launch this Pikachu off of his arm. That's what this little thing here is supposed to be, but I've tried it. He kind of swivels at the waist. I've tried it. It does not really work very well, and I don't want to try to demonstrate it because I worry I'm going to break something, either because this thing misfires or because I smash something in frustration. Ash Ketchum is sadly a bit of a shelf warmer. Out of all of the figures I've seen, the Ash Ketchum ones seem to be the most densely populated, the ones that don't seem to move, and I admit I kind of understand it. I mean, look at his face. His face is a little bit weird. It's sort of the same thing as what happened with the Princess Peach Smash Brothers amiibo. It's something about the face is just off. And, Ash has a little bit of trouble standing as well, although I have him on a little bit of an uneven surface. There we go. But yeah, the Princess Peach Smash Brothers amiibo also featured a slightly uncanny appearance on the face, and that has affected Ash as well, although Pikachu, on the other hand, is still pretty nice. It's on a bit of a lunging position so that it can jump onto Ash's arm and be thrown off of it, but it is worth mentioning that it is a different pose from the Pikachu from the Battle Packs. All of the figures, if they come in a different set, are given a different kind of posture, so it's really nice to see that so you don't really have a lot of redundant toys, although actually, I don't really have a big problem with toy redundancy because that's where trading starts to happen. But it's a nice little feature to mention. Now, as far as the human characters are concerned, if they kind of dropped a bit of the action feature gimmicks, I think it would be nice to see some of the other human characters from the show. Most of them come with a fairly small Pokemon, and some of them are actually fairly popular. Lily, I know to be extremely popular, and I imagine a set with her with either Cosmog or Alolan Vulpix would sell really well. Lily is like the most popular character in the show right now, as far as I understand. Next, we'll move on to Lapras, and I'm going to keep Ash here just for scale's sake, since the whole point is that he's our basis of scale, and Lapras, considering the price point of just $10, is surprisingly large. It doesn't even come fully assembled. These front fins, you actually have to attach them yourself, and this thing, despite being in the $10 price point, actually rivals the size of like the Tomy Legendary Pokemon figures, which were usually like $15, $20. So it's really nice to see this kind of scale going on with Lapras here. Now, Lapras's motion gimmick is actually, it has a bunch of wheels on the bottom, which cause these front fins to sweep forward and back as though it was swimming, kind of similar to the turtle ship that I reviewed a while ago. It does unfortunately interfere with the profile. This thing doesn't necessarily have the best profile. The shell is sort of its own separate piece, which is really nice, but despite the presence of the seam on a neck, the neck itself actually isn't articulated, which is a bit of a shame, although it's still nice to see something this large. I would have liked to have seen it equipped with like the ride Pokemon gear with like that sort of fishing platform that they normally have on it, and it does seem a little bit small considering the scale it's supposed to be. I mean, the Lapras from the TV show is large enough to carry everybody at once, although something I would like to try is let's see if Ash, with his nice big heroic A hero stance, can actually ride this thing. I guess not. And finally, let's have a look at Decidueye, again with Ash here for scale comparison. Now, the Decidueye sculpt looks really nice, and in particular, the face inside this mask here, I am honestly amazed at how they made it look this good, considering the whole cowl and everything over it. Now, the sculpt is pretty interesting. It does have slightly posable legs, although all that really does is help restore physicality to it. Otherwise, the large gimmick is how its large wing looks like a bow and arrow and how it can shoot its feathers like arrows, kind of how it does in the game. Although I can't say I'm entirely sure how this gimmick works. I guess you jam this in here, and so it turns out it clips on like that. It actually has a little hook in the back that allows it to clip on, and then you just kind of press the wing against the body and it shoots the arrow. Okay, that's kind of an interesting design. It is a little weird just seeing this little spring just kind of attached to the wing rather than being integrated properly into the body. That's a little bit weird, but it kind of works. It doesn't help that the missile itself looks kind of like a shoot-up popsicle stick. But like I said, that's the thing about some of these more gimmicky figures. I don't know if that's necessarily what people want, and sometimes that can come at the compromise of design. But still, I personally think this Decidueye looks fantastic. You have that really nice looking face under the cowl. You have it strikes a pretty imposing profile. A lot of the colors are really spot on. It looks really, really good. This is overall a really successful design. And so that's a look at the battle feature figures. Ash is a bit on the doofy side with his somewhat lousy physicality and action gimmick and, of course, that face, but the others are all really impressive. I do like how a lot of them look. I would like it if ones in the future had more cleaned up seam looks. That might be better if they sort of eschew some of the action gimmicks in favor of just making a really good toy. I honestly think that would be the best move for them, but for the most part, these all look pretty nice. The Beware that can carry things under its arms also looks like it's a lot of fun. The Lapras, like I said, is very, very large, and I don't think we've actually gotten a lot of toys of Lapras, so it's interesting to see that that Lapras got a toy in this lineup. I hope we see more of the human characters. I would love to see like some of the ride Pokemon. That might be another good excuse to get some of the characters in on this action, and it'll be interesting to see where this line takes it in the future. Join me next time where we take a look at the largest figures in the line, the legendary figures.